Meanwhile, the Colts and Saints, they've been in Miami early this season. Both came back from big deficits early in the regular season to win down there in Miami against the Dolphins. Now, Manning and Breeze, the two quarterbacks, they were on with Chris Berman last night during the Pro Bowl coverage. And here's what they had to say about their earlier visits down to Miami.
You know, certainly when we were coming here knowing that this was going to be the Super Bowl site, you know, we all talked about, hey, guys, let's visualize being here in February. And sure enough, we came up with a big win there, and we felt that locker room atmosphere after the game and said, hey, we'd love to be back here and feel that feeling again.
Having won a Super Bowl here 3 years ago, Peyton, helpful at this point or nothing to do with it?
I don't think it's helpful. You know, I don't think just because you're staying in the same hotel, it's going to help you stop Drew Brees in their passing attack. I think we're playing on a level playing field. I'm excited to be back here. This is a great venue for it. I mean, great football history down here, as you've always talked about, Chris. And you know, so we're just excited to be a part of it.
All right, Skip, I need you to tap into your inner Phil, Dr. Phil, right now. How do you read the answers of both quarterbacks?
And I watched it live, I was surprised that Peyton didn't initially seize the moment to say, we feel very comfortable here. He made a remark about, you know, just because we're in the same hotel, that doesn't mean we can stop Drew Brees. But I thought he would say, look, we won a Super Bowl in this stadium. And we came down here in September, and despite having the ball for only 15 minutes, which had to be some kind of record to Miami's 45 minutes, we pulled out a win in this same stadium. We love this stadium. And I thought he would try to send a message to his rival that this is our home. This is we've made this into our house. And B, I was pleasantly surprised that Drew Brees seized the moment. He did say, hey, we loved it here because we did have a big, astonishing comeback from 24-3 down. And we were talking before that game about how we have to visualize being back here in February. So all of a sudden, he's playing into all this who dat, destiny, meant to be. You know, obviously, the Freeney injury plays into it. That all of a sudden, it's feeling meant to be for the Saints, and that quarterback plugged into that emotion.
Yeah, I think from the standpoint of Peyton Manning, his comments were the comments of a guy who has been there before. He didn't want to give the Saints or any of his opponents any ammunition by basically spitting off at the mouth on national television. And for Drew Brees, once again, he hasn't been there before. You saw the excitement. You saw that twinkle in his eye. He did, like you said, seize that moment. But once again, the media isn't going to get any easier for any of these teams this particular week. You got to be very careful what you say and what you put out there.
But the whole idea that, you know, you wanted Peyton Manning to embrace Miami, and they're not playing it's not the same Super Bowl. They're not in the same situation against the team that they beat. Years have gone by. Okay, other teams have played in Miami for the Super Bowl. I don't know how Peyton Manning was supposed to embrace and say this is our place when other people have won Super Bowls and done things there.
Because I think he believes it.
Because, well, obviously he didn't say it. I don't believe it. And the other thing is, same thing. You could go and look, oh, we're staying at this hotel. We're going to eat the same food. It's still about what you do out on the field.
Nothing.
That stuff just doesn't matter. And I don't read anything other than
that sounds like a man.
Isn't that the standard answer that Peyton has given his entire career?
Absolutely.
I'm just happy to be here.
Absolutely.
But isn't that him?
No.
So
there comes a point when you're the team that has been here and done this, that you just send the message that we've been here before. And he didn't do it, and I was surprised by that.
All right. Both of those guys made the Pro Bowl, of course. They were down there because the NFL made them come down there a day early before the team was. Of course, they're trying to get more visibility for the Pro Bowl. The AFC won last night. But, Skip, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you enjoy the Pro Bowl?
Given the fact that I have rarely enjoyed it before, I've never enjoyed it before, I have to give it a 9, Rob, because we talked about it on Friday. I told you it was going to feel a little more relevant than it ever has.
So you were the one watching.
I was the one watching it because it had a better electricity because it was the kickoff event. It was the opening act for a week of celebrating football in Miami, as opposed to a week after anticlimax game that I just can't watch. And by the way, I told you the Super Bowl participants would look like they enjoyed being there. They did. They were honored to be on the sideline. They were the honored guests at this big bash last night.
Were they?
Yes, they were.
Okay.
And you talked about you want to see a skills competition. I saw a great one last night. I saw some of the best throwers and catchers in football putting on quite a show, and I enjoyed it all the way to the last drop, and I mean drop by Ocho Cinco, but that's a whole nother story.
I definitely enjoyed this year's Pro Bowl for a lot of different reasons. In terms of revenue, I think the game was a success. The highest rated Pro Bowl as far as attendance ever in the history of a Pro Bowl. I think that's a win right there. Secondly, it was exciting in my opinion. You saw guys having fun. You saw guys smiling. You saw guys making humongous, successful, exciting plays. That is what the Pro Bowl is all about, in my opinion.
What, and just a Skip, it was not compelling at all. Once again, here you go. You love practice 7-on-7 drills. That was really compelling to you? Or those guys who were dressed up, they were practice dummies. They weren't all real players.
Well, wait a second. Hold on.
Whoa.
Did you see Vince Young underthrowing passes? This was what you're telling me that was so outrageous.
Hold on
so
just
great.
a second. The quarterback he hates the most, Tony as I call him, he threw the game-ending interception. So somebody on defense must have been playing, Rob, and if you'd watched the game, you would have had your opening.
I watched a few minutes of it. You know what? I couldn't stomach anymore because it is one of the worst put-on events in the history of pro sports.
That's big.
When I'm talking about all-star games, come on, it is not the real game that we watch week in and week out.
You're
you
right
guys
about
can
that.
kid yourselves, and people have played in it. I've talked to many NFL players who say, hey, it is a joke. It's not played
but here's the point, Rob. Is it better before or after? That's the question.
Yeah, it's better afterwards. It
Why?
shouldn't be because you left out two teams with players from the two best teams in the league. They're not playing. No, I want to see Peyton and I want to see Drew Brees out on the field. I don't want to see them in colored windbreakers sitting there doing happy talk.
You know what I don't want to see
them play football. Skip.
One of my Twitter followers pointed out last night that it finally looked like a real football game because it was under lights in a real big NFL stadium instead of in the tropical sunshine in some college stadium in Hawaii. It looks rinky-dink to me when it's the week after. Right? You've been in it before.
This is the only issue that I used to have with the Pro Bowl is the guys weren't playing hard. You didn't have the pass rush. You didn't have that physicality that you need in the game of football. Now that I look at it, just imagine what would happen if a guy like Vince Young goes out there, takes a hellacious hit in the Pro Bowl, and he's done. Or a guy like Chad Ochocinco takes a hit over the middle and he's done. I don't think guys want to see that. The game is meant to be entertaining. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be fan-friendly.
The object of a football game is not to not get hurt.
An all-star game.
Not to not get hurt. And that's the problem with it. Because football is that kind of game. You got to play it the right way. You can't play at half speed. And when I watched that, it's a turnoff. I didn't enjoy it for 1 second.
I saw Mario Williams actually sack Tony Romo in the fourth quarter. Interesting.
All right. We'll see. We'll leave it right there.
You know I'm right on this. I cannot believe you were into this game at all.
I love the Pro Bowl.
It is heated already, but that's going to do it for first down. Ahead in second down, we'll talk about Kobe Bryant. He is now 29 points from becoming the Lakers' all-time leading scorer. So why don't any of these guys think he's the greatest Laker of all time? I'll ask that coming up in second down. But first, our poll question. We're asking you, Sports Nation, which team are you rooting for? Not who's going to win, but who you're rooting for in the Super Bowl. Only two teams are playing. It's the Colts and Saints. We will reveal the results later on in the show. But, Reese, you got a lot coming up. What is it?
Indeed, we do, Mike. How about Kobe Bryant emphatically silenced